What's up, Simonies, and welcome back to a new tutorial. If you don't know me, my name is Simon and I help developers build awesome apps, and today we're gonna build one of these huge projects. We're gonna build a learning platform including a chat using Angular and especially using Stream. Stream was so kind to sponsor this video, and Stream is a service to integrate chats or activity feeds super easily in your application with tons of additional functionality in the background. So we're gonna see how easy it will be to integrate a Stream chat that looks amazing in our Angular application. But before we do that, we take a few different other steps. We're gonna have some authentication, JWT authentication with an API. We're gonna use Cloud Functions to get tokens from Stream to register users to Stream. And then we will also, of course, build the inside area of our learning platform using Angular, using Tailwind, and integrate both a single chat view, a chat view with different channels, and also the ability to start chats. So we're gonna cover everything about chats and how to use the Stream SDK and the Angular components. If you want to follow along, link to all the code below the video and also the link to getstream.io. You can check it out. You can actually use it for free up until 10K revenue of your company. So that's actually a very nice offer for indie makers and builders, because that's actually a huge milestone to hit. Give it a try, getstream.io, and make sure you stay subscribed to the channel and already hit like, because we're gonna see a lot of code and you might forget it. So do it right now, and then we can dive into our learning platform with Angular and Stream. Alright, let's get started with the application. So what I did so far is I generated a new Angular application and CD'd into it. That's pretty much only thing I did so far. However, we need to install a bunch of packages and generate some components, so let's just do this right in the beginning so nobody gets lost along the video. First of all, we're going to install all Stream Chat related packages. This is the Stream Chat Angular, the core Stream Chat SDK, and we're going to also install the NGX Translate module, which will be automatically used by the Stream Chat. I additionally wanted to include a little spinner, so we got some loading spinner. This is an ng select package, which I found to be quite interesting, and it actually worked pretty great. So let me show you this package real quickly. Where is the package? It's ng select, a lightweight component for multi-select and autocomplete. And then we also got the JWT decode package, because we're gonna add also JWT authentication along the way. Then we're gonna generate two services to handle the connection to Stream. It is better to streamline this. What a funny thing, to do this in one place. And also we're gonna do another service for the authentication. Next, we need a bunch of components. So we of course need a login page. Then I want to wrap everything that we have in the inside student area within its own layout. And then for the inside area, we have a dashboard, a chats page, a class page, and a students page. And finally, we of course want to protect that inside area. So let's also generate a guard, which implements the Connectivate interface. We will get to all of that later. Let's just generate those files so we got everything in our tree. On top of that, I also would like to use Tailwind UI. So let's install Tailwind in the recommended way for Angular, just like this, and then simply call npx TailwindCSS init, which executes a local script, so you get a Tailwind configuration. We can also do the Netlify function. Yeah, let's do this. Let's just run it right now. So let's install the Netlify functions package as well. We're gonna need this for our Cloud Functions. So you see, there's like everything in this learning platform that we're gonna build together. However, if you install a bunch of these packages, you know, you gotta do some configuration. So let's hit the, let's start with the Tailwind configuration. I think that should be done pretty fast. So we're gonna just quickly update this to include all of our HTML and TS files here. And then we're also gonna require the Tailwind forms. Did we install the Tailwind forms package? I'm just curious, did we? Yeah, we installed Tailwind forms. That's cool. So this is our Tailwind configuration. And to use Tailwind, we can now directly head over to our styles as CSS and put in a few imports. This is, by the way, also the import for the Angular Stream Chat default UI version 2, which, by the way, looks out of the box really great. I can already spoil this up front. It is really great. Then we got the ng select theme for our dropdown, and then we got the Tailwind imports, and just apply to body and HTML to use h-full, which is a height of 100%. Okay, we're not done with the configuration. There are a few little things we still need to touch before we can continue. So first of all, let's go to the Angular JSON. And for our ngx spinner package, I don't know exactly why this is required, but we need to add to the architect build styles one of the styles that we want to use. So I just picked the ball pulse CSS. You could use something else. I don't know why we need to do this. It feels, I don't know, it just feels not right to me. However, once we're done with that, we also go to our TS config and add 3 little additional things to the compiler option. Let's just do it up here. So we're going to focus on this. Allow authentic default imports, resolve JSON module, and ES module intro. The first one is actually required for the stream Angular chat SDK. The others are, well, not really required, but I want to load a local JSON file later. So that's why we do that configuration. I hope I haven't lost you so far, because there's just one more thing that we need to do in terms of configuration, and that is the app module, where we're gonna add a bunch of imports. So we got our declarations in here, that's great. However, for the imports, we might need a bit more. We for sure need the forms module, since we're gonna do a login page. We need the HTTP client module, which, like always, isn't automatically coming in. So let me add this from Angular common HTTP. And then we also got the ng select module. Let's do this on a new line, that feels better. We got the browser animations module. I think we need the browser animations module for one of the packages. I can't exactly remember which one it was. Probably we also don't need it, but well, browser animations module won't hurt us. Then we need 3 imports for stream. So we need, or we want to use the, of course, stream chat module with the import coming from stream chat Angular. We want to use the stream autocomplete text area module. So you see you can import the different components you want from a stream chat, pretty nice. And we'll also add the translate module call for root right here in our file. So let's do this stream. This is pretty much the stuff we need for stream. Oh, and I forgot, we also need the ngx spinner module for root. And I'm gonna add directly, so we don't need to configure this later on, the type, the ball pulse that we added also to our Angular JSON file. Okay, I think that looks great. Did we miss anything? Hopefully not. So we should be able to dive into our application. I would say let's hit the servers ng-serve-open, and then it will hopefully bring up our application quite soon. Probably we just gonna start with the UI of our login page. Or actually, yeah, we should get rid of this and set up our routing first. So let's hit the app component. And within the app component, I'm gonna do something brave. I'm just gonna delete everything in here, because the only thing we really wanna have is use the height of the screen and then load our router outlet routes within it. So then we're gonna see nothing, but that's cool, that's fine. So we can go over to our app routing, which right now it doesn't have any kind of route. So let me bring in what we want to put in here, because we're gonna have quite a lot of code. Once again, I'm gonna bring in a few snippets here and there, because otherwise this video would likely be like 3-4 hours. And you can check out the code on GitHub, it's all public in there. So we're gonna go through this. So the app routing begins with our login component being displayed for the empty path, and then we have an inside area, which is pretty much this big second entry under the path app. And then we're gonna use our inside layout component kind of as the parent for the UI. It is protected by our authentication guard. We will get to that in a second. Right now it will just return true, so it doesn't do anything. And then we got the inside pages in the children array. We got the dashboard. We can go to the class with a class ID. We can go to the students area. We can go to the chats. And by default, we will redirect to our dashboard if we go to the blank route. That's it. Let's see. Look, it works. That's always great. That looks like, yeah, quite horrible. So let's touch our login a bit. Let's bring this up. Actually, to implement the login page, we might also need a little functionality from our authentication service. So let's probably add a little functionality in the authentication service. This is going to be interesting because we need to take different steps. But let's not talk about this too early. Let's first of all bring in some code. So first of all, we're going to keep track of our user by using a behavior subject in here. We can also define a little user interface if we want to. So we're going to have either the user data, null or undefined, and we're going to initialize it with undefined for a guard. If you've seen my videos before, you might know that I like to use this construct. Then we of course need a register function where we got an email and a password to register a new user to an API that I'm going to show you in a second. And we're going to also add, well, maybe let's do it in here. For the login, we're going to do pretty much the same. Now, what we want to do is we want to make a call to the dummy API that I developed. You can find it at api.developbetterapps.com/API. That's the Swagger documentation. It's a pretty simple development API where we can create users with a post to users. We can log in users using the authentication route. You can also create to-dos. We're not using the to-dos part, so this is my all-purpose API that I really like to use. It's also public on GitHub, so you can also check it out if you want to and run it yourself. However, usually you have your own kind of authentication and you just need to make it work with Stream. And that's the whole goal that we want to achieve here. So if you check out Stream, you see that it has built-in app chats and feeds and activity feeds right here. And you need a way to integrate this usually into your own system. So your Stream isn't really made to be like the single source of authentication for your app. You really want to do this usually on your own. But then let's check out my dummy application that I generated before. But then you will later be able to see inside Stream the users that you created. Let's check out one, and I'm gonna find all the user information in here. So the flow that we want to achieve now is we want to create a user in my API, and then this should automatically add a user to Stream. When we do a login to my API to get a JWT, and then we also do a login to the Stream API to get a token, because that token from Stream is important to initialize the chat in our application. So this is going to be interesting, and we need some cloud functions to make this in a secure way, but we're going to walk through this in a second. So what we can do first of all is we could just return an API call like this. Where's our constructor? We should probably add the private HTTP, the HTTP client in here, not the module, and then make a simple post request. That's what we want to do, and we could do the same for the login, and it's going to be authentication, and that should work. Let's just head over for a second to our login page, because then we can implement this as well. So on the login page, we're gonna call the functions from our service now. And the first thing we're gonna do is, let's call this one register. No, that's not how you spell it. Register as well. It's probably gonna be an asynchronous function. And what we need is, of course, we need our auth service. We need the router to later route the user forward into the inside area, and we of course also need not a pirate but a private spinner, which is the ngx spinner module. Nice formatting there. Thank you, come again. We're also gonna keep this really easy. I'm not gonna using a reactive form today. We're just going to use email, password, and then connect it with an ng model. If you have a simple form, I feel like that's still fine. However, if you enjoy using reactive forms, then feel free to use a reactive form instead as well. We'll also display a little error. You could also show a toast message, but again, we're going to keep it simple. So for the registration, what we're going to do is we first of all call our spinner. Oh, this shouldn't be the ngx spinner module, but the ngx spinner service. Never do this. Never import a module here in your page. So we show the spinner. And then we call the register function of our authentication service. Yeah, you could still also use it in a different way with next. However, you don't really have to. And after a successful registration, why not simply directly call the login? Because you already got the user details and the password on the screen. So I kind of feel like if you don't have anything like double email confirmation or something, let's just log in the user after the registration. There's no problem in it. So the login is pretty much the same. We're calling our authentication service, and after a successful login, we now route forward into our inside area. In terms of the UI, I want to just bring this in because if we create all the UIs with Tailwind alone, that's gonna take us, then we would like have this video at 5 hours. So let's replace the login with a bunch of code. The most important thing is actually, or it's not the most important, but the most interesting, the ngx spinner component needs to be up here. Otherwise you can't see it. Then I used a little background image from Unsplash here for our div element, and then just added a bit of text, one input for the email, which is connected to our email, one input for the password, ng model password, a little block for an error message that might come up, and then finally a register button and a login button, which either call register or login. And at this point, we should actually be able to see something in our application. So there's the chat app. There it is. This is our first page of the application. And if I do a login now, is this like my credential? I have no idea. Okay, yeah, actually that was nice. I already got that in the API. So we check out the network tab. Thanks for not logging my, I said the replace URL and then it removed everything, I guess. Thanks for that. I should probably have added a little login here or to our authentication service. So this just returns a token. Can we just see that token, please? That shouldn't be that hard. After a login, log result. And we go back to our first page. Okay, let's try the login again. And then we see we got back expiration time and token. That's cool. And we can also decode that token. That's also even better. However, now we also need to combine this with stream. So I wanted to make this basic stuff work first of all. So the registration also works. You could also now already create a user. But I want to show you how the login and the registration in combination with stream work. And for this, we're going to create a cloud function because we're going to make a call to the stream API and we're going to need a secret key for that from stream. And you don't want to have that secret key in your Angular application, even if you put it into your environment file. This is not a real environment file. I can show you how an environment file looks. This is an environment file, .env. This is an environment file. This is just a naming convention. But eventually, everything that you put in here will show up in your front end. And you don't want to have your secret key show up in your front end. So that's why we're going to create a new folder. I think you can also call something like init functions or so. However, you can also do this manually. Just do Netlify, and I'm going to do another folder called functions. We also need, I think we also need a Netlify toml. That's usually a good idea. So let's create this. I don't know, that's always a problem I have with Visual Studio Code when I generate a new file. It's not selecting this. I don't know why. So the Netlify toml should look like this. You want to have the build block, which publishes your dist folder in Angular application running just ng build. and pointing to your local function. So if you had a different folder, not using it like this, you could now specify it in here. Also for Angular application, it's important to have this redirect because you're a single page application and the index HTML needs to load first. However, if you're going to your page /about, this is not a multi-page application that has static file for about. You want to route all traffic forward to index HTML because this is where your router and the application loads. That's just a tiny little general information. So now we can do what I wanted to tell you, and that is using the actual environment file. So in the environment file, you're gonna put in your stream key and the stream secret key. Where can you get them? Well, from your stream app. So let's go to the stream app. Can I go back to this? So you can just create a new app within Stream, give it a name, a server location and a data storage location, and then hit create. And I already did this for our school app here. So I'm going to reuse this. I'm going to go to app settings. Edit. No, actually I don't need to go. I can just see it in the chat overview, right? Yeah, there is my key. This key is, by the way, safe. So I can use this key actually in my environment file. I'm going to later use it in here. I don't know if I'm going to, how do I call this? Let's call this stream key, because this is like the public key. This can be in here, this is fine. But then we also got the secret key. Can I just copy this? Thanks. And I'm gonna put my secret key in here. I'm gonna hit save, and then we can close our environment. And within the functions folder, we can now generate a few files. We're gonna create a file getToken.ts. We're gonna add a new file signup.ts, and we're gonna add a file revokeToken.ts. So signup.ts is probably the one that's called first. This is called upon registration of a new user. Usually I would recommend to have something like a database trigger. So if you insert something into your database, you then call this function. However, we're just gonna do it in a pipe block. So we're gonna make a post to the API and then immediately afterwards call that cloud function. There's no problem in that as well. And I'm gonna bring in the code, which is a standard, really very standard cloud function. So this is the setup for Netlify. We have a handler for our function. And to access Stream, we have this block right here, or kind of like these three lines. So we import the stream chat from stream chat, and then we grab our stream secret key and the stream key from the process environment. Keep in mind, if we later deploy this, we also need to set up the stream key and the stream secret key in the Netlify environment. I should probably make a note here somewhere. I should do this. However, then we can read the stream client using get instance. And once we got this, we can actually get nice code completion on it. So you can check out what the stream client is able to do. So the server stream client is definitely powerful. And what we use is, first of all, absurd user, which will add a new user to Stream using ID, email, and I'm also setting the name email. If you had a sign up with a name of the user, you could probably use that name in here. I don't have it, so this is the cloud function. And now we're gonna do pretty much the same for both of the other cloud functions as well. So this is the sign up which creates a user. This is the get token that we wanna call after a login. So again, completely the same setup. I can also remove this little login here. And then I'm gonna try and get the token from the stream client calling create token. And the only thing I'm passing here is actually the user ID. This also shows you that you probably don't want to do this in just the front end environment. So you really make sure that you have the right ID of a user, which we can extract from the JWT usually after a login. And this will hopefully give us back a token of the user. And the final, or the third function, let's not use final word in here, that always sounds strange in programming, is revoke token. Because if you issue a token, you should probably also have a way to revoke that token. And again, here we are in my cloud function. Thanks for that log, Simon. And we're gonna call just stream client revoke user token and passing in the ID of a user. Revokes token for a user issued before given time. So this will be called upon logout. Now, how do we actually deploy those functions in the most easiest way? Well, I actually found that we can directly use the Netlify CLI. So you can install the Netlify CLI, it's just npm install something Netlify. And then you can run Netlify dev, as far as I know. So let's give this a try. The problem is, or not, it's not really a problem, but the thing you need to remind is that if you just spin up Angular, it's running at 8, let's say usual port is 4200, right? It's 4200. And the Netlify Cloud functions now run at 8888, and you're gonna run into course issues. So therefore, we told Netlify where our Angular application is. It injected the environment variable, by the way, here. It deployed the cloud functions here under .netlify functions, get token, revoke token, sign up, and everything should be fine. And now the server is running at 8888. So instead of using our ng-serve anymore, we're now using this. And we're gonna go to this, I don't know, localhost 8888. And then we are back here and we have access to the cloud functions. And now things get really interesting because we're gonna go to our authentication service now, and we're gonna change our registration function and the login function. So for the registration, what we wanna do is, and this is actually not the, here it's the registration. For the registration, we're gonna add a little pipe block with a switch map command, because we're gonna switch to a different observable, and that is the call to our cloud function right here. And we're gonna pass in the email of the user. Remember, after a sign up, we're gonna create that user within Stream, and we're also gonna pass the ID. I could also now pass the name. Actually, did we, let's check this in sign up. I'm just reusing name, email, yeah, so that's fine. So I don't need to pass this. And this should do something. Let's go to the login. I'm gonna add a log here after register. And I'm gonna, after login, we got that anyway already in there. Okay, cool. We can also do the same for the login. For the login, we maybe need to do a bit more. So we need the same pipe block after a login, of course. And we also want to map the result, because after a login, we need to keep track of the user token. So there's something new we need to talk about, and that is storing the user token. So we're really doing a lot in here today. This is like the full-blown range of things you need to learn to build a learning platform or any kind of marketplace with authentication and chat. I'm gonna define a storage key under which we're gonna store our JWT in here. And in the pipe block of our login, we're gonna now transform the result. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna first of all map, as I said, yeah, please import. And we're gonna save our token that we got back from my API result.token under our user storage key. Then we're gonna decode it using the JWT decode package, because this will give us access to the actual user ID. Usually we don't have the ID of a user after a sign up, and we're gonna create this user data object, for which we don't have the stream token yet. Anyway, we just emit it, and then we can continue with a switch map in which we call our getToken function. So you see, now we're even getting into our XJS fun today. So switch map just switches to a different observable. Map simply maps to a new value. So user data is just an object. This is, of course, an observable that we return. And then this means after that final call, finally from stream, put it in here, we get back the user value, and then we can set the user value of our observable and the stream token to that token. This token, again, is important to actually, this is not what I wanted, to actually initialize a chat. Hey, can you please, I don't want to add the missing function. I want to import the JWT decode. Like this, please. Okay, I think we added a few logs here and there. So let's check this out. I'm gonna add a new user. I'm gonna call this one, it actually doesn't matter, right? So simon@test.com, password, very secure password. I'm gonna hit create account, and then we're gonna see after register, user successful created. This is from my very own API. Finally, from stream, this is on the authentication service, line 70. Line 70. Okay, this is already from the login. What do we get back in here after the registration? I wonder. After register, well, I just get back that message. After a sign up, user successfully created. Did we hit save in here? Did it create the user? I don't know. We're gonna see. But it seems like the login worked fine as well, because finally from stream gave us this little token in here. And we're gonna check out now if this is really the case. So let's go to stream. I don't know if this really worked. Let's see, users. Yeah, simon@test.com. Email used for the name as well. Online false, updated, created, role by default is user. So we have created that user in my API and also created it within stream. This is great. Also we see, come on, go back. We can also see that we're able to log in because I'm here in the inside area of our project. So the only thing that's not yet working is, of course, loading the token. And we should add this to our authentication service right now as well. So let's add a new load user function. I'm gonna make this to the side here. And within that load user function, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and grab that key from local storage. And if we got a token, we're gonna decode it and automatically make that call again to get a new token from stream. Because again, otherwise we can't really use the stream. You could probably postpone this in your application if you wanted to a later point, either when you open the page of a chat, or just do it in the background. So you lock in the user and somehow do it in the background, but you definitely then need to take care of not loading or initializing the stream connection too early because you don't have that token. So it becomes a bit more complicated. If you chain it like this in the beginning, like this means when you load the application, when you reload a page, it will automatically get a new token. So I think this kind of works best. We should now also call this in here. I like to forget calling these functions. So there we go. And then we should probably expose a few more functions, just some helper stuff at the bottom. So for a sign out, we of course want to remove that token and we want to call our revoke token functionality. I just want to make sure that I don't leave anything open whenever I call subscribe. I really fear that I'm going to have memory leak and subscription, so I'm adding take one here to really perform this just once. And then we can also get the current user as an observable and get the current user ID, which is a flat call and returns the string. So this is everything that we need in terms of authentication in the service here. Again, if you want that code, check it out on GitHub. And then we also add a guard, or we added it in the beginning. So let me also change the functionality of our guard, because this is gonna protect our pages and it hopefully should work very soon. What we do is we get the observable of a current user and we filter out the undefined state, because this is like the initial state or the initial value of user. And we don't really want this. We want at least to check if it is defined in local storage or not. And then we can say, okay, it is, and we got something or not. So then if we get a value here, it is either authenticated and we can allow access, or we're gonna route the user back to the login page. So if I refresh, I'm actually allowed. Well, this is just a, let's put this anyway. So we should see a lock here now, exactly from the token that we loaded. And that object already has the stream token, which is pretty nice, because we used this here in the beginning. Got token from storage, decoded. If you check it out, our application is now able to load this token from storage, decode it, get the user ID, get a token from stream, and then our whole application is pretty much ready, and we can also use that information to protect the inside area. We have covered quite a few things. So we got the login page in place. I can't really log out, so I need to navigate back if I wanted to right now, but we can do this in a second. We have the whole UI for the outside area set up, so I think we can continue to the inside area. So now that we can log in users, we should define the inside layout. Let's see if I can still remember this correctly. Log in, and there we are. Therefore, we're gonna close pretty much all of these things, and we're gonna head over to the inside layout UI component, whatever I called this one. And what we're gonna define is a simple layout with a header area where we got the top navigation. We can go to the dashboard, we can go to the students, we can go to the chats, and we're also gonna add a little sign out and a toggle functionality so we can switch the theme of, in general, of our whole application, but in this time we're just gonna toggle the stream UI, the stream chat UI. Also, you might have noticed that I'm using router link active, so we're gonna add a little class for this. So we can see on which menu item we currently are. Actually, this is active link, not something else. I'm going to use Tailwind apply underline. It's going to be sufficient for today. Now we also need the two functions to sign a user out and to toggle the theme. And therefore we first of all need a few imports. We of course, once again, need the authentication service, the router, and we're gonna also add the theme service from Stream Chat Angular. Yes, they kind of have a service for everything. I really noticed that I used a lot of packages in the past, but they really have so many services and functionalities, and this whole API, the SDK, it worked great for me, really. There were a lot of things where I thought, oh yeah, that's cool that you thought about this, really. So what we need to do to toggle our mode is actually pretty easy. This is all we need to do. So we can call the theme service and the theme behavior subject. Once again, it's also nice documented everything. So we got nice TS interfaces. Subject can be used to get or set the currently active theme. And then we just need to check if it is light or dark and simply emit the other value. You could probably do this in one line, but I don't want to do this today. And for the sign out, we already have our functionality from the authentication service. Once again, this will delete all the tokens. It will make the nice preview Visual Studio, nice. We'll make the call to revoke a token, and that's all we need to do. And then we're gonna navigate back to the start. So then we have this nice overview, and we can already navigate around between these three different views. Now, before we dive into the further creation of the UI, I think we want to get a quick win of our stream. So we really want to see that stream, and therefore let's go to the chats page. I'm going to open the chats component. I'm going to close what I don't need. Yeah, now I closed something that I need, of course. So there we go. We could probably follow the implementation from Stream. So they have a great guide on using the Angular chat tutorial. It's linked below this video as well, which covers all the essential steps. We already took a few. They are, by the way, not using the user authentication here. They just go directly into the functionality. However, here is the important part, how we initialize or how they initialize the chat. And I'm going to shamelessly copy this over to my chats component in order to show you a little quick win here. So I'm going to add all the imports. I'm really just going to keep all the information like it was in here. And then I'm also going to use this one here for the UI of our chats component. And we're gonna talk about this in a second. And we probably, do we need some styling? I actually don't know if we need this. Let's check it out if it already looks good. Okay, error, creator, failed user, Black Frost 7 with user role 7 is not allowed to perform. Yeah, okay, probably I should use my own credentials for that. I should probably do this. They use a user token in here already, so that makes, I actually thought I could use the information in the tutorial. I think I used it before. Maybe they disabled this, but let's check it out. User token. Could I somehow obtain a user token through the dashboard? Let's see. Users, this was the user I was using. Probably not. Probably not. I don't think so. So I just have the ID. Of course, the ID is not a user token, but I could fake the user token. I do have the user token. I should have locked this out. Let's see. I do have a stream token right here. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna use the token in here. Let's see. Then I should probably use my own API key, which comes from, I can import this from my environment. So we added the stream key. The user ID is not really Black Frost. User ID is probably more like this. Okay. Why is it called Black Frost? I don't know. Anyway, let's see if it works now. Error, stream chat. Failed with error, user with role user is not allowed to perform action recreate channel in scope messaging. Okay, so this is a nice point. They also got a nice role concept that I had to figure out. So under roles and permissions, you can find the different roles. By default, our user that we created with the API is created as a user. So then you could have different permissions here. We're gonna select the scope messaging. And do we already have like create channel? We do have that permission, create a channel. I feel like I'm doing something wrong in here. So we got the stream key. I got my user token from stream and I got the API key. So usually this is the only thing we need to do to initialize our connection. However, we anyway want to do this in a kind of different way using the stream service, because we're going to have a chat on different pages of our learning platform, and therefore we're going to initialize the stream connection in one central place in the stream service. So I refactored my own code after, well, going through a lot of trial and error, and then we're going to import this as well. So this is the beginning of the stream service. The only thing this class will emit in the end is the value of the behavior subject. If I don't feel the import wasn't right. This is the one. So we're just gonna subscribe to is the stream ready or not, and then the pages know exactly when they can initialize their own chat. So I'm gonna keep this private. Nobody from outside can change it, and we're just gonna return is stream ready as an observable to make it completely secure. Now, what we do in here is we can follow kind of the same logic that we used in our guard using get current user. We're gonna subscribe in here and we're gonna use that user data to do something. So if at some point we do have a user and the user does have a stream token, so that's the token we get after calling the cloud function, we're gonna say this.chat service init, which is the initial call that we already saw before, but now I'm just gonna do it correctly using my very own information. That was once again not correct. I don't wanna do this from prod. I just want from the environment. Dot stream key. Second argument is the user ID. So that should be our user.id. Then we got the user token, which is the user.stream token. And I think that's all we need for the init call. However, after this line, they recommend that you also call the translation service. So we're gonna do this. You could define your own translations, but we're gonna just keep to the default for today. And then I wanna initialize our chats or our channels. So previously the chat service initializes the general connection to stream, but I also want to grab all the user channels. So I'm going to call init chat afterwards in here. And what we're going to do in here is, or maybe let's finish up the thought from here before, because if we don't have a user, if we don't get a user, we should probably call this channel service reset. So this is recommended. Resets the active channels and active channel messages observable, useful when disconnecting a chat user in combination with disconnect user. And of course, we're gonna also use chat service.disconnect user. In that case, we also probably want to call this.stream ready next false to kind of deactivate the stream. And I also don't only want to call this if we actually have a stream. So if this chat service has a chat client, we're gonna do this like this. Now back to our chat initialization. What we're gonna do in here is we're gonna await the call to the channel service. Again, previously chat service, now channel service. And we can do some kind of filtering in here. So what we want is we only want the channels of the type messaging. And we also want to make sure that in terms of members, we only want the chats where our user is currently included in the area of members. So this .auth service get current user ID should be included. You can do some pretty cool filtering here, right here on the channels, but this is like the easiest way. We just make sure that we get all the channels our user is part of the type messaging. Again, you could have different channel types, so commerce, gaming, live streaming, messaging, and then those channels have a bunch of settings that you can define. So if you want a very specific channel, probably create your own channel type and go through it for one by one through all the different things. Okay, and once we did this, we can now actually call this .streamReady next true. So this indicates our pages that we are now finally ready to use the stream service, and that's what we're gonna do. So now we can get rid of all of these things here in this page, but what I would like to do is I want to call the stream service as early as possible. So let's also inject it in here in the app component. Let's add a constructor, private stream service. Make sure that we don't add anything from the stream SDK and that this is our own. So now it should be initialized as early as possible. This is better. That looks a lot better because this is already our own UI. Can I refresh? Get or create channel fail. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. We're gonna do this manually now. So let's just remove this. No, I'm just gonna remove it. We really don't need this right now. What we need in here is really just checking if the stream service is ready. So we're gonna exchange all of the things we had before and simplify this to private stream service, and we can now directly access the behavior subject. So chat ready equals this .stream service is stream ready. This is like the cleanest way I found this to keep it like in a singleton. And we're gonna get that chat ready in here. So let's put this ng if chat ready async. So yeah, that works nice. So while it's not active, we can later change this a tiny bit, or probably let's do it right now. Let's change this to be like this. So then we have up here a little chat loading, and otherwise we display our chat. Yes, this also looks better in terms of the UI. So now I'm using the flex layout from Tailwind, and we have the channel list to the left, and to the right we have the chat view. However, we don't have chats, so let's probably add this. Can we do this manually? Let's give this a try. Do I need to do this like in moderation? Okay, I already created a bunch of channels in here. Can I manually add a channel? I probably can't. I probably can. Let's see. Let's go to the Explorer. Well, I could create a new channel here. Unique channel ID, channel image, channel type. Okay, let's call this video channel. The unique ID will be, let's just use the unique ID, channel image. Do I have an image? Copy image address. Let's go back. Will this work? I have no idea. Maybe, maybe not. Is this really? Maybe it could work. And we're gonna select the channel type messaging. So video channel, this is my ID. Create members. Okay, add a new channel member. Yeah, what's my user ID? Come on. Where did I lock this out somewhere? Well, we can go back here. This feels a bit like the preview we got in Firebase. So here, Simon test. I can copy this. I can go back to my channels. Oh no, where's my channel? No, where is it? Video channel, it's here. Okay, I can add a new member. I can add this user ID. Add. Okay. Yay! This is nice. Here is the channel. This is my view. So this is exactly the channel we just generated. And this is what we get out of the box from Stream. And I really like this because the UI is kind of clean. It offers everything that you expect from the chat. And we can now, like, let's go. Do it exactly like this. And like we can do crazy things with the chat. Crazy things. And this is not even the most crazy. Like I can select an image. Probably, what do I have an image? Flutter Academy. I don't have any images, right? Screenshots probably. Use this one. Test it, send it, and then we have a file upload, and we even got this modal. Nice, this is epic. So there's a screenshot from the Ionic Academy. If you don't know it, I'm running the Ionic Academy. You should check it out at ionicacademy.com, where I offer tons of courses to learn Ionic. But today we're not talking about Ionic, we're talking about Stream and Angular. So this is pretty nice. And we would now see different different channels that a user has on the left-hand side. And we would see the open chat right here. We got a bunch of functionality that we can include. We can even hard this, like everything you expect from a real chat. We got members online, and we should now also, yay, be able to toggle the light mode. We do have a little border here because we defined our router outlet to have that kind of margin and padding. However, we have the connection to Stream, which is pretty nice. We could probably finish the video here, but I want to show you a few more things. But first of all, take a little sip of coffee. You know, when you've done some bug, when you've finished a bug or implemented a feature, and then take a sip of your coffee, which is already cold, but anyway, it's like the reward for what you just did. This tastes so good. Okay, we got the chat view in place. This is cool, but of course, we're not gonna stop here. So now we're gonna take a step back because we got 3 more views we want to implement. We're gonna start with the dashboard. Inside of our dashboard, we're now going to display a few classes. And for that, we're going to create a dummy file. Let me put this under assets. I'm going to call this classes.json. I'm going to add some dummy data. Again, you can find that dummy data on GitHub, just like the rest of the project. Pretty much defined 3 classes objects with some general information, some IDs, some images, nothing too fancy. And now we're gonna go back to the dashboard. Yeah, that's the component I wanted to get. And on the dashboard, we can now, oh, I never used that functionality, interesting. On the dashboard, we can now import our data from that file. It's probably not gonna complain because we already added the module stuff to the TS config, and we can now simply import the classes. Yeah, usually you might probably do this by using your own API, but that's not a big deal, not a big change in your code. Then we're gonna define a little, this looks so horrible when you look at it like this. Like, I was thinking about if in 10 years we look back on the code, the Tailwind code everyone's now using, do we then think this was a good idea or do we think it was a bad idea? I don't know, probably the second, but right now I do actually enjoy writing Tailwind, so let's hope it sticks around. So we got a little flex layout here, and if I go back to this, oh, where my image is gone. Oh, I actually defined this. I should probably add this. Yeah, I used a local image. So I'm gonna putting this into my environments now as well. Hey, where's my image now? There is the image. So this is our UI can these just go? I'm probably gonna just list this. This is our nice and clean dashboard. We have a Spanish class, the history of JS, and the advanced programming patterns. And all those could be classes a student might want to take. And we can already dive into them. We should see, yes, we're going to app dashboard and then the ID of the actual class. So everything is defined in here using our dummy data. Really, it's just a setup of a lot of flex stuff and layouting with Tailwind. There's really nothing fancy in this view. However, we now want to build out the details view. And for that, we're gonna open everything that we have inside the class. So you see, we're kind of coming to the conclusion slowly. But first, we got some cool things that we want to do. So on our page, what we want to do is we want to, of course, grab the ID from the route and then use that information, but also display a specific chat. So on this page, we've seen how to use the different components from a stream. We've done all of this in the UI. So we have the stream channel list to the left-hand side, and then everything else inside the stream channel on the right-hand side, which means an error, the message list, a notification list, and message input at the bottom, and even a thread component if we're using a thread. Yes, we haven't done this before, I think. So where is... Yeah, there is the thread reply, so I can now also reply in a thread. All of these components are already right here on the page, and we could customize them. We're going to take a look at that in the end. However, for now, we're going to keep it like it is. So what we want for our chat is to only have this view. And therefore, we need to make sure that the user is part of the channel or can actually join and leave the channel, and also make this channel the active channel. And that's going to be interesting. So let's go to the class component, and we need a bunch of imports as always. So we're going to start with the active route, where we can first of all grab the ID of our class. I'm going to keep some information here on the page as well, like the general class information that we can now simply extract from our dummy data. So we should probably load that JSON file again. So really a super easy way. And what we're going to do then is we can just use our stream service and say, hey, is the stream ready? Subscribe, ready. And if the stream is ready, let's select, I am ready. In that case, we can load the chat. Let's do another function to load a chat. So I'm going to do this now in detail because I think this is pretty interesting on how we can actually work with the stream core SDK stuff. So to load the chat, we're going to use the channel service. Again, at this point, we can just be sure that the connection to stream is initialized. We have built up this chain to make it this easy from the very beginning. Like the login, getting the token, making sure the token exists, having everything inside the stream service, and then just exposing that observable. Everything was kind of done for this moment, so we can now just say, okay, if ready, then let's go. So the channel service offers a way to, well, it offers quite a lot what we could do, but we're most interested in the channels of a user. So we're going to subscribe here, and we're going to get back, of course, an array of log my channels. Channels. And actually, I want to see this now live. So let's do this side by side. Gonna make this a bit smaller. This, well, can be a bit smaller as well. Arc, please don't open that all the time. I know it is cool, but I don't want this. Oh yeah, and then we probably also need the log message. But we can check this out. We have enough space. We got it. Okay, so I am ready. My channel's an array of one channel. Here we got the information. I hope you can see it. Otherwise, I might once again need to make it bigger. So my channel information looks like this. And since we have the ID of this class, we're using that ID to kind of create the channel. And that means we can also check if the user has already the specific channel. And that's what we're going to do first. So if we don't have any channels, we can just return. This can happen. We should probably change this. Now we want to check if the user has the channel by filtering them. So if the channel ID, the property we see here, is equal to our class ID, then we have a winner. And if we have filter.length, then it means user has this channel. Otherwise, we can also add a log not part. And in the case the user already has the channel, we need to make that channel the active channel. However, I think this won't work because we're not yet part. So probably let's set this dot loading to false in here. And then we can also work on a bit of the UI, because we need a functionality to join that channel. It doesn't really help to make it active right now. So let's first of all add the functionality to join the class chat or leave the class chat. So that also means we need a tiny little UI, and I'm gonna bring this in once again because Tailwind. But actually I don't know if we would do it without Tailwind. It wouldn't be easier. So we're gonna go through this together. Let's take a look what's going on. Of course, we got the spinner up here. Then we got, like, this looks so horrible from the outside now looking at it. But when it comes together, it works so nicely, it's so responsive. So what we got is, we got this area up here with a button to leave the class chat if we're joined the chat and we're not loading. So we got like the two settings that we can play around with. By default, we see you are not a member of this chat and a join chat button. This comes from the left-hand side where we got the setup in the flex layout right here. So the stream channel, everything from stream will only be deployed if we're not loading anymore, and if we did join the chat before, or if we can find that chat in the user channels. If that's not the case, we have that case where we're still loading, and we have the case where we're not loading and we're not joined the chat. So in that case, we see the join chat button. Besides that, we got the course description. This is just using the dummy information we have set up before in another column. Actually, we're not using flex, right? We're using the columns, yeah. This time it's columns. And that makes up the view. So we could also now go to the history of JS or the advanced programming patterns. I'm not yet part of any of these courses. So let's go to Spanish for beginners. I want to join this. What happens, or what do we need to do when I want to join this? I first of all want to show the loading spinner like this, and then I want to get a handle on that channel. So I'm going to call the chat service. Let's see, I should probably add an equals this.chat service chat client, and I can now call get channel by ID. So again, a bunch of functionalities. Really, there's like a function for everything, I feel. Channel type is messaging. The channel ID is now simply this.class.id because this is our very own definition. And what else? Custom? No, nothing custom. So let's log that channel out. And let's see if this already works. I'm gonna say log. Okay, this is the channel that we want to join. Cool. Now I got this infinite loading spinner. Thanks Simon. With that channel in place, we can now say await channel dot add members, and it feels like automatically you know what to do. Add members, an array of members. This is just our very own ID because we only want our user to join that channel right now. And then we can also call this dot spinner height, and we're gonna say load chat again. Or actually, do we? Because we should be subscribed. I feel like this should be enough. Let's see. Okay, I'm not yet part. I'm gonna click join chat. Okay, my channels changed. This is interesting. This observable log comes from our stream service, right? Or where does it actually come from? My channels in the class component. Oh, actually it was in here. My channels right here. Oh yeah. And then it filters Okay, and then it says user has this channel. Oh great, that's actually exactly how I pictured this to work. However, if in the beginning I had a problem and it wasn't working like that, so what I did to fix this was I went into the roles and permissions. So it said something like user with role user is not allowed to perform action at own channel membership. And I'm very sure that if you're using Stream, you're gonna run into more of these things once you do advanced stuff. So then you simply go into the role and select whatever scope you want. And in my case, I added, I think, join own channel. That was what I added. Or join channel? No, join own channel. That was the grant I added. So it's really just adding it here and moving it over to the side to give users more specific roles. So that means we are now part of this channel. And if we are part of that channel, we see that log. What we want to do is we want to add, of course, this dot channel service. Oh, we probably want to extract the item. So because with if you call dot filter, you still get back an array. So let's say const to join equals filtered at position 0. And then we call this dot channel service set as active channel. And then we can pass in a channel. And if we are lucky, yes, the types do match. This is pretty nice. In all the places we see the types here, we immediately see if we do something wrong. Then we can also say we joined chat true and loading false. Well, we can just do it down here. Or is set active or returning a promise? No. No. So let's see, let's refresh. And by now it will automatically load this chat simply because we are now part of it. We can see this in a different view. If I go to the history of JavaScript, I'm not yet part of it. So let's join it. It loads and I'm immediately in the chat for JavaScript. Hello from my side. There we go. This is pretty cool. I kind of like it. And if I go here, I'm still not part of it. I also, as you can see, get the history of a stream, which is quite nice. But once again, this is a setting you can easily change. And if I now go to my chats, I'm gonna get all the channels that I'm part of right here. I can easily switch this like in any kind of messenger, Facebook, WhatsApp. Like this is a complete messaging replacement for something, and it works pretty nice. So now we have a real setup. I could also leave that Spanish channel in case I don't really like it. Oh, we haven't implemented that function, right? Oh yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. So let's implement the leave class chat, which we can also do using the channel service and then getting the active channel. First of all, I haven't kept a reference. We could probably do this in a stream chat to keep a reference to the active channel. However, let's just do it in here, but I only want to take this one. Again, I don't want to create any memory issues. So I want to leave this channel. Let's see if this works already. Yeah, I want to leave this one specific channel. We can do this if we get back a channel here. So just want to make sure that there's nothing null. We can call channel and then again TypeScript, thanks TypeScript, remove members, and guess what? This dot auth service get user ID. This is what we want to pull out from the current channel, and then we're going to just set our own join chat to false to update the UI. And as a result, I can now leave that channel. I don't see it anymore in here, and it's also gone in here. And I can now easily go back to this and say, okay, yeah, I still want to take part in that class, so let me join it again, and boom, I'm here, and boom, the active class is right here. I do must admit that I have set up manually these channels, just like we did in the beginning. So you can easily do this again here. We did this in the Explorer where we created a new channel. So I created all these channels matching the ID of the class. However, you could do this in your own application, like with a cloud function. You can also still create channels. And that's also what's shown in the Stream Angular tutorial. So let's zoom in a bit here. That's what I do in here. They call the chat service channel messaging, talking about Angular. They define an image in the name, and then they call channel.create. So you could also do this from the front end side of your project. I just defined this in the back end to have some like moderation aspect to it. All right. There's one last thing that we want to implement in our view or in our application, and that is the student view. So you should be able to start talking to your students in any kind of learning platform. So therefore, we're gonna try and implement a search for users, because then they will be able to search each other in our application right here on the students page. And we're gonna start in the students component. First of all, we're gonna add a few imports, just like we did before. We're gonna use authentication, chat client, channel service, and the router. And we need a few properties for this view as well. The channel name, so this will be an input. You will be able to define a name and then select a user. Can we add just all missing imports? Oh, user response. What's your problem? Has no, okay, yeah, we're gonna initialize this in a second. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna listen to our user input field, and okay, we need a few more imports here, huh? So this was a nice snippet on the ng-select component for asynchronous calls, because what we want is whenever the input of our ng-select component changes, and we make sure that it's really changed with distinct until changed, we call the chat service autocomplete users. It's really this one function that we just need. Searches for users in the application that have ID or name matching the provided search term. And this will be assigned to our found users. It's just using concat to get the latest value of either the empty array, which we're gonna have in the beginning, or then the value from our user input. Now, what we need as well is probably one function that we're gonna call onSelect, but we're gonna implement this in a second. For now, we can already go to the HTML, and that HTML will be pretty easy to implement. So the only thing we need in here is an input, which will hold the channel name, and then the ng-select component. That component is actually pretty great, and I found it quite epic. So it will only be displayed once we've set a channel name. The items will be based on our found users observable, so that's why we got the asynchronous pipe in here. Type ahead will change the user input model. We can bind to different values, so these are the chattings of ng-select. Again, check the package out on GitHub, it's pretty cool. And then the selected user will be stored once we click on them, and onSelect selects them. So let's put this probably another lock in here. This dot selected user. I'm gonna see, okay, I'm gonna call this homework, and then it's gonna display this type to search. So I can type this, and I'm gonna find Nash from getStream. I think probably I could also just search for stream. Yes, getStream. Yeah, I'm gonna find a bunch of users actually using my test system. So I'm gonna say like Nash at getstream.io, and then it would print out the ID of Nash. Right here, because we have told the ng-select to bind the value ID, so it will just give us back. I don't know if we're gonna remove this. How would it look like then? Let's test this. Yeah, it's having problems displaying actually something, and once I select, I get back the whole user object. Okay, that's actually cool. So this is the reason why I bind the label to email and bind the value to ID. Great. Let's do this again. Okay, in order to start a new channel, that's pretty much what we want to do. We can now use the value in here. Again, this will be just the ID of a user. So we can now create a somewhat unique ID by using the current date and the current user ID. You won't be able to create the same channel in a matter of milliseconds again, I'm pretty sure. So that should be unique. And then we can do what they did in the Angular example, and that is creating our own channel. We're gonna once again select the type messaging, we're gonna supply the channel ID, and then you can supply whatever kind of information you want. So I use this Unsplash image. I'm actually not sure what it is, using the value from our channel name, the ng model, and then for the members, myself, the member, and the selected user. And then we can call await channel.create. So this will create the channel. However, you can't be completely sure that the channel is done afterwards, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to jump into that new channel in our chat view, and I wanted to simply use channel service set as active channel. But when you do it like this, there's a problem that comes up, and it says you need to watch for the channel to be created. So apparently this line doesn't mean that the channel is completely finished. So we're gonna also reset our channel name in that case. But what's more important is that we now call channel.watch. So additional options for query. Watch loads the initial channel state and watches for changes. So really want to make sure that the channel is ready, and then we can finally continue. And what we can do now is set it as the active channel, and then of course also route the user forward to our chats view. So let's see if I can now start a new channel here. So my new channel. Okay, and then I'm going to use whatever, Nash at getstream.io, and boom, we're on the next page. My new channel, okay, that's the image I selected, 2 members, and I can immediately start typing. And I can now do this for homework 42. I want to use my other user in here, and boom, I have a new chat channel created. And I could also, of course, now check this out in my Stream Explorer, and I would then be able to see the new channels that were just created, homework 42 and something, my new channel. Great, I like it. There's one last thing that I wanted to show you regarding Stream, and that is how to change the UI. So we've already seen how to use dark mode. We implemented all the other channel pages already. So the last missing thing is how to customize this. We can do this on the chats page. Yeah, let's do this on the chat page. But first of all, I want to show you something how you can do it in an easy way, which is kind of like globally. And that is simply setting the CSS variables for some stuff. For example, the chat header. Let's check this out. Let's find it. Am I already in the right object? Stream channel header. We can filter this, and we're going to probably find a lot of CSS variables from the stream chat down here. So they're all prefixed with stream chat, I think. Actually, really. So you're gonna like play around with the values for, I don't know, 5 days. So we're gonna just add something to change the header background color, and using just our theme value sky 100 and sky 300 for the active channel background. So let's close this, and we're gonna see the updates. Well, this is really annoying. I just want to make this smaller. It always shows the menu on hover. I should probably disable this. So when I save this, what happens is the active stream now has this blue color, and the header also turns into this other blue color. So you can really easily customize it by using the CSS values if you want to. However, if you want to do more, do they tell you this in? Yeah, they do tell you this, kind of. So let's just use this thing here, and let's put it into our chat page. So where's the chats page? There we go. So under the chats page, I'm going to define this new template. I'm actually going to say so cool in here. And by using let message, we get access to the message object. And now what we need to do is we need to use the viewChild reference. I'm gonna add this to my chats component. Had all missing. And did I call this custom message template? Yes, exactly. And then we need to inject the custom template service. So this is a bit more complicated now. overriding the imports in our CSS was quite easy. Now what we need to do is, after view init, because it's important to get access to the view child, this is usually only defined after view init. I'm going to add implements after view init. We call the template service, and for the message template, I want to use my own template. And that would work kind of the same for other things. So now I could also check out what other templates I could replace in the same way. It's pretty much, the meaning is we deploy or we inject our own template into Stream. And if I check this out now, we see so cool. Actually, can I get like the whole message in here? Message JSON. Yeah, interesting. Okay, the text seems to be this. So I could now probably use message.text. And then we would have this. However, you see, you're losing all the benefits from the Stream UI that you previously had. So that makes it kind of hard to use. So it is a way to use this. You can overwrite pretty much everything that you want. But I really do like the default UI of our Stream implementation. And now we are pretty much done with the application. I can also log out, of course. And I think let's also deploy this. I also want to show you how you can deploy this. So let's go to GitHub and let's create a new repository. I'm going to do this in a, let's call this Stream Video. I'm going to make this private. We already got a public repository, so I'm just going to do it like this. I don't want anything in the repository. And then I should get some commands from GitHub. So I can already safely close this. We got Git, we got all of this. I got the main, so I'm just gonna go with remote add origin and push. Okay, there we go. And refresh should show our project on GitHub. Exactly, nice. Now we can move over to whatever kind of service you prefer. I kind of like Netlify, so I'm going to add a new site and import it from an existing project. I'm going to select the GitHub provider, and then I will be able to select one of my repositories. Hopefully. That didn't look good. What did I call this? Stream Video, please? I think so. Let's see. There it is. Okay, loading, npm run build. I want to deploy this exactly. I also want to have variables, functions directory. Actually, you should automatically find this from the Netlify TOML. And for the variables, we can now, or no, we can't. No, we can, but we should use our stream key. Using the stream key, and I'm also going to add the stream secret key. Putting it in here. Okay, and then I can run deploy site and it will hopefully deploy my page. The environment variables are now safe within Netlify, so that's pretty nice. We are only exposing the public key. Oh, and we haven't done this to prod. Yeah, nice catch. So you always need to make sure that you put the values you want to use in the production environment as well. Git commit add key. Git push. Yeah, that's not how you spell push. Git push. So this will take a little second to deploy, and let's check it out afterwards. All right, after some failures, the app was finally deployed. The problem, or a few of the problems were, one was that I actually didn't add any files to the project, so I had to add them to Git. And then I also had to change the budget, so this was throwing another error. But now the site is deployed, so let's check it out. Here we are on the site. Can I still remember what was it? Simon@test.com. Let's try and log in if it works in a live environment. And there we are in our live environment. I'm still part of the history of JS chat. I can navigate around. I can find the users. I can go to the chats, make the dark mode, write some test message, and I can do the same things just like I did before. And I think this is the perfect baseline for any kind of learning platform. So you have a dashboard with the classes, you got the class details, you got only the class chat in here, which users can join. We got an overview of all the chat rooms a user might have, and you could potentially also start one-on-one chats with a user. So hopefully this e-learning platform with GetStream chat is gonna be helpful for your next project. Alright, and that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed the walkthrough of creating this learning platform with Angular and a Stream chat. And I actually found the usage of Stream to be pretty great. Yes, we had to do some setup in the beginning, especially the cloud functions and getting the Stream token. But once we had that, the integration of Stream, of chats, of creating channels, that part was so super easy. And we have seen what we get. We get like the chat view, reply, emojis, image upload, all of these things. If you want to implement this your own, I don't know how long it's going to take, and you can really see the benefit of using chats from Stream in your own application. So again, link to Stream below the video, and of course also link to the GitHub repository where you can find all the code of this video. And if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and stay subscribed to the channel, because there will be even more videos about Angular, React, Svelte, and everything around development in the next time. I've been Simon. This has been the Angular Stream chat learning platform, and I will hopefully catch you in the next video. So until then, happy coding, Simon.